And I think today I want to dwell more on the factors. If those factors could, be reduced, it could, help us out in this fight against human trafficking.
Is it generally or the entire fight, or perhaps against the female gender?
Yeah, because
there seem to be.
Why I'm going to focus on the female today is because people ask us, why are you fighting for only the females? That females are the most vulnerable ones. That females are mostly victims. Doesn't mean other sex, the opposite sex is not being trafficked.
Okay.
But the factors, that make females most victims, are so enormous, because when you meet with them, because most of the victims we meet are female. That is why we keep, dwelling on female victims, because they are the most, vulnerable ones. Like if you meet a victim, before she tells you about her ordeal in the hands of traffickers, she will first tell you what she went through. She will first tell you what led to, her being trafficked. She will tell you what, where she was before she got to where she was being lured and, trafficked abroad. And again, trafficking doesn't start from when a victim realizes, oh, I have been a victim. Trafficking actually starts from, when, for example, from a separated home.
Dysfunctional families.
Yes.
Okay.
When a woman, try all her best to making a family work out, and the man, because of tradition, because he wants to marry another wife, he doesn't want to keep the first one. He wants to chase her out. Trafficking actually, starts from there. It's like you are preparing someone to be lured into this evil act. When a woman maltreats a little girl, trafficking is actually starting from there.
Perhaps in the same way that maybe house helps and others are maltreated by...
Exactly. Okay. So these are the areas we need to look at. We need to, sensitize the public. We need to tell, families to show love to one another. Lack of love, is the number one, enemy of why those people are falling victim.
But we also have cases where these women, maybe for sake of, acquiring some material things, easily get lured, maybe by friends. In that instance, are we now saying that because there was no love in the home, there wasn't this real affection for the female child, that was why that's the reason they can easily get lured or get influenced by these external forces?
Another angle is that because because most victims are product of these factors, doesn't mean that people from rich home are not being trafficked.
Good.
But it's just that most of them are, they've gone through one situational, stage or the other before they are being trafficked. So these factors have to, really be given attention so that, it could reduce...
Now, when we talk about giving attention, already the management of Human Rights Radio is doing something in that direction, and hence, you understand, this program that is currently running on 101.1 Human Rights Radio here. In what ways do you think other stakeholders could also join hands, join in this effort to see that we push this message out there?
Yes, I think other stakeholders, like there are a lot of groups. I think this thing what we need to do is sensitization. Like there is a lady who called me about 2 weeks ago. Her widow landlord is pushing her to the wall.
How?
Widow landlady, sorry. she's asking the lady to give her her tenancy agreement for almost a year now. She hasn't given her the tenancy agreement. But right now, unknown to the widow, she's also a widow tenant. The widow landlady, brought some people to the house unknown to her to renovate her apartment. So for like 2 to 3 months now, she doesn't have her privacy. And whenever she complains, to the woman, she will tell her, you don't have tenancy agreement. I can throw you out anytime. Or if you know you can, you can no longer bear what you are saying, go to the BQ. And she explained to me that the BQ is smaller than her apartment she paid for. So that woman, when she was explaining to me, she was crying, shedding tears. She was hurt. So those are the areas we want to dwell more on. We want to tell women to stop hurting women.
I'm sorry to say, but Lois, I don't seem to see the connection between that, an issue between a landlady and her tenant, who also turns out to be a widow, according to you. How could this possibly lead to someone, falling into the hands of traffickers?
Okay, the lady lost her husband. That made her to inherit. She inherited her husband's property.
Okay, the tenant we're talking about now.
Everybody is not as strong as us. Anything, you can be hurt. She can be vulnerable. She can meet the wrong person, who will tell her, "Come, I will offer you a house, free of charge."
Very comfortable place.
That. Because right now she wants her comfort. She wants her privacy. That lady could meet, the wrong person. So whether you like it or not, that is a factor that could, encourage trafficking.
That's quite expository there, because it's also given me further understanding. Now, if that could happen to an adult, as it were, a widow, I'm trying to imagine what the effect of that kind of maltreatment or that kind of harsh situation could be on the life of a teenager and possibly a minor.
Exactly. So you can see where we are, driving into. Because when a teenager is driven away from the house by her madam or whatever, she doesn't, we spoke earlier that most of these teenagers are taken from the villages by agents. Some of them don't even know, the way back to where they are coming from. So when they are being driven from the house, and most of these victims, they meet these traffickers in open places, not in private places.
Yeah.
So by the time they chase them out, that teenager will want to, look for a place that is comfortable for her. In the process, when she meets the wrong hand, she will lead to whatever, she's being told.
Okay. You're still listening to the program, The People's Embassy, and it's coming your way live on Human Rights Radio, 101.1 FM, Abuja. Now, today's edition is an abridged version, and that's the way it's going to run all through the Ramadan fast season. So you just have to bear with us. But then, fortunately, as soon as we're over with the season, definitely we'll come back to 60 minutes, as it were. And this afternoon, I'm talking with our regular guest, Lois Adams, an anti-human rights campaigner. And here she is telling us more and more about this whole issue and why it affects the girl child the more. we have 7 minutes or thereabout to make hay on the program, The People's Embassy, this Saturday afternoon. And I just have to make haste as well because we have other programs lined up shortly after this. So let's quickly go back to our guest, Lois Adams. And here she's been talking about the vulnerability of the girl child and women, especially when it comes to targets for those very inhuman, unscrupulous elements who function as human traffickers. Now, I'd like you to tell us, perhaps send out a message to these young women, these teenage girls, and of course, even the adult women as well. What message do you have for them? As this pressure comes on them, what do you advise they should do in order to avoid falling into this trap?
Yes, presently we are going to different schools. Even next month, we are going to Edo schools to sensitize them because they are the target. We tell them that whatever they hear, that they can't tell an adult, another person, someone they feel can rescue them, they shouldn't yield to that. Whatever a child hears, that she will keep to herself. She should know that that idea, that information could destroy her. Whenever she hears it and she's afraid to tell an adult, someone who is next to her, who she feels can help her, she should open up.
Okay, once any of those influences comes and she feels this fear,
exactly.
She should quickly...
Meaning, no, that could destroy her. She should quickly report to the authority, to people she feels are around her that are responsible.
All right, you talked about taking this campaign to schools, which you've already commenced in Edo State. Do you have plans to also take this message across the length and breadth of the country, Nigeria? Or is it just restricted to one section of the country?
Not at all, by God's grace. We are going around nationwide. All right.
That sounds really, really assuring there. I want to say many thanks to Lois Adams, anti-human rights, human trafficking campaigner, rather, who is here pushing for the rights of these victims and also how to stop others from falling prey to this inhuman elements who parade themselves about there, deceiving our younger ones and sending them into slavery abroad. Many thanks to Lois for coming on the program, but we'll hope by next week we'll do it much more. We'd have our full 30 minutes to actually take care of our business, as it were. But all the same, to you, the listener, I'd like to apologize that we couldn't give you the chance to actually call in and weigh in on this particular topic of discuss. But then, join us again next week. That's Saturday at 3:30. That's the new timing. It's just for the Ramadan fast season. And once we've done with the Ramadan fast, your favorite program, The People's Embassy, will return to its full 1 hour duration, and that will be running from 3 to 4 p.m. Until next week, my name is Inyene Ibanga. Keep listening to Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM.